Huh. All right, there we are. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. And I apologize. Look at this backdrop. That's Stacy behind me. I'll show it to you and then I'll jump back up. Let's see. Something's going on with the layout, but that is okay. This is the episode 10. Now, season 10. Episode 9. Thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. I appreciate everyone that comes in and joins me during the live. As always, thank you so much, Team Replay, as well. And this is Real Housewives of Potomac. We are in season 10. This is episode 9. And the episode is called Blunt Truths. So we have the ladies of Potomac. Couple of events that happened during this episode. And excuse me for just trying to figure out what's going on here with the scenery. I think I'm going to just leave it as is because I don't want to risk removing anything and losing sound. Welcome, Sharon Godbolt. Thank you so much for coming into the live Real Housewives of Potomac. And since Sunday night, we actually have 2 shows now, Married to Medicine and Real Housewives of Potomac. Right after this live review, I do another live review for Married to Medicine. So this is Potomac first. We're going to start out with Gizelle and Wendy. Who thought we would see the day? Gizelle and Wendy are having a little girls' day. Gizelle is actually test driving an electric G-Wagon. And we don't know if she bought it or not, but she is filming a scene where they are test driving it. I watched some of the after show. She didn't say whether she bought it or not. She made clear she test drove it. And I wish someone had just asked her, well, did you buy it? Because we don't know. Of course, they discuss Stacy. They also discuss Karen. The salesman is sitting in the back seat. Gizelle just having little moments where she's pretending she doesn't know how to turn it on. And, you know, I own the road, all the little Gizelle stuff that she likes to do. So Wendy, of course, is discussing Stacy. Stacy is having her Sheo event for the product launch of her gummy line. Gizelle's talking a little bit about that. Wendy and Gizelle are talking about Monique. There's going to be a lunch upcoming with Gizelle and Monique. So it was an okay scene. It was cute. Next, we get Stacy and her best friend, AJ, and they meet for, it looks like coffee or tea, and they're talking. Stacy is telling AJ that Tia tried to read her, and AJ said, no, you didn't let her come from across the pond and try to read you. So Stacy was mocking her and saying she was doing, don't let the accent fool you. Tia was doing a lot. So he was saying, you have to put her in her place. Stacy from the D. We've seen Stacy from the D. We know Stacy can defend herself. So Stacy's saying, I'm not in the best place with all of the ladies. And my standing in the group is not the greatest now, but now this was interesting. She said, I'm inviting all of them to my brand launch. And then she said, when I told them I was the first Black woman in the state of Virginia to launch a cannabis line, they didn't seem all that excited. On the after show, Ashley, of all people, is sitting with Monique. You know how they pair with certain housewives. She's paired with Monique, and she's going, I'm all for Stacy being the #1 Black housewife in Virginia to own a cannabis line. But is that proven? Is it proven? I'm going to Google it. Okay, they didn't report it. I didn't find it. Ashley is such a hater. I don't see why that couldn't be true. There are a lot of firsts. I don't care that it's 2025. There are so many firsts still in 2025 that Black women participate in. And it's not because we just didn't ever do it. A lot of time we didn't have the opportunity. So I don't know why that would bother Ashley. I like to know what she has going on. But she was, again, dragging Stacy about that. But Stacy invited her to the event. I don't know that I would have had Ashley there. I really don't. Tia, we get to see Tia at work finally. We know Tia is a luxury real estate agent. She is having a meeting. Ashley just irritates me too, Sharon. Tia's having a meeting at her real estate office with one of the, I guess, a fellow broker. But I don't know if he's a mentor or not. She's saying that she has so many listings and things going on that sometimes she needs additional assistance. And he's saying it might be a time for you to consider building a team. So that is exciting for Tia. That does mean she has a lot of business going on. She steps out of the office. She takes a call from Stacy. She gets invited to the event. She decides to go. Next, we get Ashley. This scene I didn't really care about. This is her and the young guy, Josh, that she is with. Basically, Josh is not making enough money for Ashley. She is at a different place in her life. She is a divorced mother of two. He's a young man, doesn't have any children. He wants to have children. Ashley is right about this. But what she was saying was kind of, I don't know. She was really, why did she ever start up with this young man? Because he was always younger than her, no children, and wanted that one day. And she started out also as a divorced mother of two, looking for men of a certain stature. But now she's telling us in the confessional, I'm used to my men renting a restaurant out, flying me to Vegas on a private jet. Even Michael and I would have elaborate trips. Production helpfully shows us old Michael and her, it looks like in the Australian Barrier Reef, holding up a shark or something like that. And he is saying, I don't know. She's saying, this has come a time where someone else probably will make you happy. And he said, someone else? She said, we don't really go anywhere. And he just squeaks, I don't need a trip to solidify our relationship. I tried to take you to Pittsburgh. Now, I was with Ashley on this. Ashley said, well, Pittsburgh is fine, but it's just not what I'm looking for. We get another confessional from Ashley. She said she has struggled in the past financially. She also brought up Sheila and her do-nothing man that she's been supporting for 23 years to the detriment of her own health. Ashley's looking for another Michael. She sure enough is, and Ashley put up with a whole lot for Michael to the point where she just couldn't take it anymore because he had her in the streets looking crazy. You remember that picture he took in his undies? The girl took a picture of him from behind. That was disgusting. I think production showed it to us again the other week. I wish they'd stop doing that. So next we get Monique and Gizelle. Gizelle shows up. She reserves a table for two for the Bryants. And Monique comes in. It was funny. Production played audio where you could hear Pastor Holy Whore. That is what Monique called Jamal Bryant. I don't know why Jamal Bryant is still catching strays. He is a trip, but he's not on this show, so I really don't think that's fair. So we get a confessional from Monique. She's saying, well, back in the day, I think Gizelle was just a hater and miserable, and she wanted other people to be miserable with her. So this is a confessional look where Monique is in that gold dress, and then she has the white background. So they explained to us that they didn't have time to get her background together because everybody was wondering about that, including myself. So Monique's saying, you never know what Gizelle you're going to get, but if she shows me her A, I might kick her. You know how Monique starts that laughing. Monique is doing this new healed Zen thing. I halfway believe it and I halfway don't. I think Monique knows what image she needs to present in order to feel like she's safe enough to be on this show. I hope all that is true. Essential oils and, woosah. I hope all that's true, but I think Monique could go there again. I really do, depending on the circumstance. So they sit down and it's kind of like a standoff, but they're both smiling. So Gizelle says, should I start with drag me, Monique? Gizelle, I don't find that attack funny, the reference to that attack. I still think Gizelle was very instrumental in the attack and I just don't care for it. Should I start with drag me, Monique? Did you notice how Gizelle looked at Monique from head to toe? Yes, Gizelle is still pressed by this lady. And I think, you know what's odd, Sharon? I think Monique still wants Gizelle's approval for some reason. Monique could run this show if she wanted to, her and the newer girls. I don't know why they're bowing down to Gizelle. But yeah, Gizelle gave her a good up and down. And yes, Gizelle, Monique still looks good. Dear Yvette, thank you so much for coming in during the live. This is Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 10, Episode 9. We are at the Gizelle and Monique sit down. Gizelle has just looked Monique from the bottom of her feet to the top of her head. And all of it looks good. Gizelle looked pretty, but come on. And they said, oh, you dressed up for me because they both had on pretty dresses. They look good. So they start talking. She says, Monique said, no, my dragging days are over after Gizelle said that. Wesley Knight, come on. Which one you calling granny? Gizelle's not a granny yet. Gizelle is not a granny yet. But they both look beautiful. Sharon Gobalt, dear Yvette. Okay, so they are sitting there. They're having their lunch. Monique is saying, we're going through a divorce, which you have experienced. You kind of have to peel back the layers when you're going through that. And she says, Ashley asked me to start coming back around the group. I knew I had some work to do on myself. So production shows us what Monique and Gizelle were going through at the time. I was surprised at this, y'all. They showed Gizelle lying on that baby, Monique and Chris's baby, about the trainer. Word on the street is Monique's been spending a lot of time with the trainer. So Gizelle, you did do that. And then she's called him big boy. And those were two things that were really a source of hurt for Monique. And Monique lets her know. Monique said, you have to own a little bit of it too. And Gizelle was kind of like interviewing Monique, like, so what have you done to improve yourself? So I really didn't care for that. I didn't care for that at all. Okay, so next we have Gizelle is claiming, at the time, I felt real life hate coming from you to me. So Gizelle just flipped it real quick. I didn't feel hate coming from Monique. I felt that Monique was defending herself because remember, the very first time they met, there was a kind of a thing about, well, where do you live? And Monique she's new to the group, couldn't really get it out. There's a big thing about if you're in Potomac, of Potomac, near Potomac. And it was kind of like, okay, where do you live? Are you saying you don't have a home? And Monique said, actually, I have 4 homes. And from that moment on, Gizelle could not stand Monique. So that is where they kind of went left. But Monique didn't ask why Gizelle lied on the baby's bloodline. She didn't ask why she repeatedly attacked Chris Samuels, even though he had done nothing to her. So Monique says some of it started when they were having that wine in the barn, but there was already something that was going on behind the scenes. And somehow it got taken out on Candace. Now, strangely enough, they did not mention Candace. Dear Yvette speaking to everyone. And Dear Yvette says, Jizzy needs to go. They don't have a storyline. It's getting dry. Yes, it's the same thing. And she feels like she doesn't have to bring anything. I don't understand that. So Monique says, what happened in the barn triggered my spiritual journey. Y'all, I hope this is real. I don't know. I go back and forth with it because I can understand why she would have a spiritual journey and want to change. Because I think Monique was really embarrassed at letting herself go to that place with Candace, who, in my opinion, was the wrong person. She's going to start shifting wigs. She should have started with Gizelle or Robin. I don't know why she did that to Candace. All Candace had was mouth. And that was no reason for Gizelle to put, not Gizelle, but no reason for Monique to put hands on her. I don't know why all of them want Gizelle's approval. I can't figure it out either, Sharon. I know she is Bravo's baby. Andy Cohen loves her for whatever reason, but they can still keep their position on this show without cozying up to Gizelle like that. Thank you for coming into the chat. And you have a scripture up here. I'm not actually going to put that on there. Let me just go ahead and hide that. All right, I think this might be open to everyone. But that is okay as long as we are here to discuss Real Housewives of Potomac. Thank you so much. So Monique says, I was going through a time where being in a public relationship, here she go kind of blaming Chris again. Gizelle says, well, I don't know what it was that made you act crazy, so I just wanted to blame him. And then Monique did say, you can't put it all on him. So they laugh. In the future, we'll get together and talk before we drag each other. I think the lunch was successful, but it was more like Bravo kind of had them sit together to see whether or not they can get along. And I think they will get along, but I don't know why Monique is cozying up to Gizelle. I feel like Gizelle owed her an apology too. I believe Monique, she looks healthy and happy. You do, dear Yvette? I hope that's the case. She does. I saw her on the after show too. Monique is glowing. She really is. Here is the one thing that confuses me about her. I do feel like she should have, not that anybody should hold a grudge, but I can understand why she would have something against Gizelle, telling that lie on her baby and repeatedly attacking Chris when Monique used to ask her not to. So Gizelle was very disrespectful to Monique's marriage. And the other thing is Ashley. I don't see how she could be close with Ashley when Ashley was the one that told everybody, she brought it on the show, that Monique had wrecked her car drinking and driving. So I didn't like when Ashley did that. That wasn't part of storyline. That didn't come onto the show. But Ashley did that. I think Ashley was trying to take Monique down along with Robin, along with Gizelle, because they were kind of scared of her and jealous of her. But I think Monique just wants to be in that clique for whatever reason. but they kind of have a standoff where it looks like things are going to be okay between them. We have Ashley coming into where Stacy is having her brand launch. All of the ladies are there. I feel like Gizelle was the only one that wasn't there. I'm not sure why. Right, I forgot about that, Sandra. Yeah, it seems like Monique forgot about it too. Unless her and Ashley, maybe they are really friends. I don't know, but I can't understand having a friend like Ashley. I just don't trust her. I don't trust her. Now, there are rumors that something happened with the behind the scenes cameras. You know, Monique and Chris had cameras all over their house. Bravo had one angle where Michael felt on the cameraman, and we heard the guy say, "Hey, don't do that. Stop that." Because that ended up in court. And then they were looking for more of the video, and Monique and Chris claimed they didn't have it. So I think they did that for Ashley's sake. And then Ashley showed up in the court case between Candace and Monique and testified for Monique. Even though Ashley was in the bathroom, remember she was pregnant at the time. She came running out like, what happened? So I don't know what her testimony consisted of, but she did testify for Monique, and Candace was really upset about it. Ashley is just a low person. Ashley and Stacy get into it at the brand launch. I don't really know where this started. I didn't pay a lot of attention to the scene. Stacy, y'all, she's launching this brand on Juneteenth. There was a big Juneteenth banner in the background. Stacy just makes me laugh. Ashley ends up calling Stacy a liar, and Stacy is telling her no more negativity, and Ashley's going, no more lies. Everything Stacy says, you know, no more telling rumors. Ashley's saying no more lies, and they're just going back and forth. And then Ashley says, I want you to stop being a lying garden tool. But she didn't call her a garden tool. She actually called this woman out of her name. And Stacy allowed it. Because I would have told her, at least I never protected a predator. I would be bringing up Michael every time Ashley had something crazy to say to me. So then next we get a scene with Kierna. Y'all, they didn't show Kay a lot. And this might have been Angel's only scene too, other than when they come to the brand launch. Greg is joking that he got to check what's left on his credit card. He got to clear some stuff off his credit. He's looking for rings. Him and Kierna's mother and Angel. We get Angel in a confessional. She tells us they have been friends for 20 years, but about 10 years ago, they were wondering, where are we going to be in 10 years? And now look at them. They're looking for a ring for Kierna. So the mother, to me, looks kind of, she didn't look all that thrilled about it, especially as Greg was trying to come out kind of cheap. This lady was showing him a 6-carat ring for $125,000. And Angel is saying, yes, she's very discerning about her jewelry. We get the scene of where Kay was telling Stacy that her ring is cloudier than a mofo, which was a little bit funny. So Angel says, we're middle-aged, and so we need to consider where we are in life. Angel, y'all are not 40, girl. That's not middle-aged. You better hope to live longer than, what, 80, 75, 80? So the salesperson is saying, well, she'll be happy with whatever he gives her. Sales lady, you don't know this girl. You don't know that she'll be happy with whatever. I don't like that. She's probably shocked that they have the money to be in the store shopping. I don't like when salespeople try to give their opinions. She'll be happy whatever you give her. Annie is Kay's mom pushing the envelope on this marriage. She sounded like she was advising her against it, but now that a ring's coming, now she's back on the side of doing it. I'm not sure. I don't think that Greg wants to marry Kierna. I think he just wants to string her along. And then I keep remembering the fact this man has 3 children, 3 daughters. That's too much. Sharon says, even though Stacy had told some non-truths, I'm tired of them calling her a liar. Me too, because I'm with the people that say, well, Stacy tells little lies. The lies only impact herself. She didn't lie on anybody's baby. She didn't lie on anybody's finances. She didn't do any of the stuff that Gizelle and them have done. So next we get a scene with baby Sheila, or this is Jessica, Ashley's little sister. She is going to the University of Michigan. This girl looks just like Sheila. They're shopping for things for her move. Ashley is saying, I'm happy to support her the same way that Uncle Lump used to support me. So I thought that was really sweet. Ashley's a good big sis. And they start talking about the deadbeat dad. Y'all, he's still drunk. He's still working Sheila like a dog, 13 to 14 hours a day. And Ashley is saying, I just hope your dad gets the help he needs. Ashley, I don't like you keep using these people's storyline to avoid showing anything that you're doing. And baby Sheila started crying, y'all, right there in the store. I thought that was kind of terrible. She says, I don't think people can change. They've been who they are 30 to 40 years. So Ashley reiterates to her sister, I'm here for you. I felt for the sister. This is terrible. I know she'll be so glad to get to Michigan. And dear Yvette says, right, she should find her first of everything, not being a stepmom. Yeah, Karen's too young to settle down with this man. And they showed her business maybe a couple of episodes, but they don't show a lot of her business. They just want to show her arguing with people and popping off. I don't like how she's showing up this season. I hate it for her. Sharon says, yeah, she could be Sheila's twin. Yes, they look just alike. They really do. Wendy is attending Eddie's pop-up. And then Wendy says, well, I wasn't invited to Stacy's. Now, I remember Stacy saying that she invited everybody, so I don't know whether this is true or not. This might be another one of Stacy's white lies. So Wendy jokes, I don't care that I wasn't invited. Evidently, Stacy told her it might be some type of conflict of interest. Stacy, what? This was a mess. So Stacy says that her two brands, I wish I could figure out how to take my picture down without taking the sound down. I used to know how to do it. Because what I want to do is show you her whole, behind me is her actual ad. She did it on the show. You might have seen the ad before. I'll show the picture before the end of it if I don't figure out how to do this. And so Ashley and Gizelle, let's see, there was another. Let me go back. I'm sorry. These notes are all mixed up. Stacy is saying that her gummies are called Rise and Rest. So she basically has 2 strain. And then we go back to Eddie's event, the Happy Eddie event, pop-up shop. Nutty Professor is a strain that he has named for Wendy. I think that's cute. Jazzy is at the event for Stacy. And Angel and Gizelle decline Stacy's invite. They get a confessional. Gizelle says she was doing something, and Angel says, I just didn't want to go. Now, Angel, you cannot afford to sit out these events. Angel is a trip, y'all. She just won't do right. There was no reason for Angel not to go to Stacy's event. But at least she didn't lie. She just said, I didn't want to go. So in a confessional, Ashley is saying, as a show of good faith, I'm going. So she is there. Ashley, you just don't want to miss filming. She's there arguing with Stacy loudly about no more lies. Stacy says, no more negativity, no more evil. And then AJ asked, what is going on over here? Because they were getting kind of loud. You know how Ashley likes to put on a performance. So I didn't like that. So Ashley says, I don't give up on anybody. I leave a little bit of hope. But as long as Stacy be lying, here she go with the Stacy be lying again. Ashley's a big liar too. And told her, don't keep being a lying garden too. We'll be good. So then we get Ashley in that confessional where she's overdressed with that leather on and that little page boy. She is just trying so hard. She gets on my nerves in the little tie. Stacy calls Tia aside. They're going to talk for some reason. Remember, Tia and Stacy argued at the end of Gizelle's last event. So they start to rehash their differences. And then they get into it again. And Stacy tells Tia, you are a tryhard, just like your fashions. Get your way up. Now, Stacy, where did this come from? Now, could this be because AJ told her, don't let this lady read you again. You got to get Detroit Stacy out? Because I didn't see what Tia was doing for Stacy to get that agitated. But she called the lady a tryhard, like your fashions. Get your way up. And then Stacy stood up. Tia was sitting there shocked. It's like she was getting ready to drink her water or something. And on the after party, she was funny. She said, I didn't even get a chance to get my croissant. So basically, she had just started. She told Tia to get up. Stacy stood up. Tia was kind of surprised. And then she said, toodle-doo. She put Tia out. So y'all, I don't know what happened. Maybe they left some stuff out. Sharon says, Sandra, take Angel's cloak from her. I can't, Sharon. I can't take her cloak of immunity because she is still in her first season. But I tell you what, she's doing everything she can to kick it off. You ever keep like a hot baby? You try to cover them and they just kicking off the covers. You try to cover and they just kicking off the covers. That's Angel with this cloak. I'm trying to keep it on her. It's her first season. She needs it. So she toodle-doo. She put Tia out. Tia left. And then Stacy was saying she plays prim and proper, but that's who she is. Because when Tia was leaving, she told Stacy to F off. And Stacy said, that's you. That's who she is. That's her. She offered the rest of the people fruit and refreshments. Stacy, how you kick somebody out the party? I didn't like that. I didn't like when Gizelle so-called kicked Stacy out, even though Stacy was leaving. So that was basically the end of the episode. Now there is a preview. It shows us that there is a Denver trip coming up, and they are still picking at Angel, y'all. She does need this cloak, Sharon. First season cloak of immunity. They're picking at her. They mentioned catfish again. Gizelle, y'all stop with this catfish. You knew who this lady was. The picture was a little filtered, but she is not a catfish. And then we get Gizelle saying the people are saying she's evicted. I don't believe that either. She is not evicted. I laughed when Stacy put her out. She sure did. She put her out. But I guess Stacy was getting her back for the last event they had. Tia getting all loud and don't let the accent fool you. She told that lady, toodle-doo. So this trip that Angel is hosting, I think it's going to be a tough one, y'all. She's going to Denver. And I feel like Angel should have cussed Gizelle out the first time she tried that catfish mess. Now, the crying kind of worked because she did get Gizelle to apologize, but Gizelle is just doubling down and making everybody else still talk about it. It's kind of a mess. So this episode was just okay. I mean, a few things happened, but it was like all these little different scenes and occurrences. So I don't know. I guess I'll give it a 7. Dear Yvette's going to reiterate, and I have to agree. Once again, get Gizzy out of here. Yeah, she seems like she's protected by Bravo. I don't see what she's bringing or giving that we need to see. She's been here 10 seasons. I agree. This trip is going to be a disaster. I feel for Angel. I wish she could bring Bobby with her, but like you said one week, Bobby can't hold her flute for her. He can't do any more than the rest of the husbands. You give it a 7? Yeah, I'll have to give it a 7 too. It was just kind of like they phoned it in, kind of like a lot of filler episodes. So I guess leading up to the next trip, the Denver trip. But we did get the big Gizelle Monique sit down, but that wasn't really all that eventful. And then Tia getting kicked out. Doo-doo-doo. But other than that, it was okay. Yvette gave it a 6. Okay, they're going to have to do some extra credit to pass then, because then with 2 7s and a 6, that is kind of a failing grade, okay? It wasn't that great, though. Married to Medicine was a little better. I'll be back here at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Married to Medicine. That's going to be a live review also. Is it today's my mom's heavenly birthday? Oh, wow, Sagittarius. Happy birthday, dear Yvette. I hope you get to do something really great on your birthday, December 8th, and enjoy the rest of your day. If you can come back for Married to Medicine, we will be happy to see you here. But enjoy your birthday. Happy birthday. I hope you don't have to work on your birthday. I used to always take my birthday off. I may again this year. It's December 30th, so year end, usually I don't want to work. See you then. Okay, thank you, Sharon. And everyone, thank you for joining me. Like the video if you didn't on your way in. Subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you in the YouTube streets. Goodbye, everybody.